The alien ship landed gently on the dusty surface of a forgotten world. The planet had no name anymore. Just a number, Delta 47, and a record in the ancient war archives. It was once a human colony, long ago, burned in one of the galaxy's darkest wars. Now it was silent. Dead. A team of alien researchers stepped out in protective suits. Their leader, a tall commander with gray skin and sharp eyes, raised a scanner. No life signs, radiation levels stable. Let's begin. The ground was, cracked. Black towers stood broken in the distance. Old metal bones of buildings leaned like ghosts under the weight of time. This was a city, one researcher said. No, another replied. It was something more. They found it after 2 hours of walking. A giant stone gate buried in sand. Human writing carved across the top, half erased by wind. One of the aliens touched the surface. The stone warmed, glowed faintly red. They all stepped back. What was that? Then came the sound, from inside the ground, a low humming tone, like a voice trying to rise after centuries of sleep. They drew their weapons, but nothing attacked. The stone gate split down the center and opened with a hiss of old steam. Beyond it, a chamber, huge, dark. Burned walls, scorched floors, and in the center, a circle of blackened glass. In that circle stood a statue, a human, wearing armor, one hand raised to the sky, the other holding a child. The air grew warmer. Without warning, every wall lit up with fire-shaped lights, not real fire, holograms. The room spoke. Terran Protocol 07, Flamekeeper Vault opened, memory awakening. The aliens froze. Did that just speak? One asked. It's an AI system, said another. Still working after all this time. Then the fire turned into images. Humans. Soldiers standing on walls. Scientists building ships. Children laughing under blue skies. The voice continued. This place was a beacon, a last stand, a promise. The researchers stood in silence. One reached for their translator. But before they could speak, the room changed again. The glass under the statue cracked slightly, and something floated up. A small metal sphere. It glowed bright blue, then projected. A hologram of a human soldier. Life-sized. His armor was damaged. Blood on his face. But his voice was steady. If you are seeing this, we are gone. Not dead, not forgotten. Just moved beyond reach. We fought not to win, but to show others how to stand. If this world falls, remember this. Humanity was never about being strong. We were about protecting those who couldn't be. The image faded. Silence returned, and in that silence, the aliens felt something strange. Not fear, not confusion, but something heavier. Respect. The lead researcher whispered, "This isn't a ruin. It's a shrine." Another added, "This isn't just history. This is belief." They believed in something. They walked slowly around the room. There were old weapons laid down as offerings, symbols of peace, unity, family, and carved deep into the wall. We burn, not for war, but for memory. The team left the chamber in silence. None of them spoke, until they reached their ship, and even then their words were careful. "What do we do?" one asked. "We record it. Share it with the archive." But the leader paused, then said, "No, not yet." "Why?" The leader looked back at the ruins, glowing faintly under the sky. "Because I don't think this was meant for just anyone. I think it was meant for someone ready to listen." As they lifted off, the fire-shaped lights in the chamber slowly dimmed again, but the signal was now active. Across space, other ruins began to flicker. Other human relics began to wake, and, deep in the void, old machines long thought dead started to hum again. The galaxy didn't know it yet, but something had been started, something quiet, something unstoppable, a belief. The first followers' news of the human ruin on Delta 47 spread like wildfire, not through official channels, but through whispers, encrypted transmissions, hidden forums, across the stars. The galaxy didn't want to believe it, but somewhere deep down, many already did. On a rainy moon orbiting the trade world Vexar 2, a retired alien soldier stared at his old war scars. He had fought humans long ago, watched them fall, thought they were gone forever. Now, a message had reached him. Not just words, visions. Every night in his sleep he saw the statue, the one holding the child, burning but not destroyed, standing but not angry. In the dreams, the voice returned. We fought not to win, but to show others how to stand. He couldn't explain it, couldn't stop it. He began sketching the symbol from the human wall over and over again on his walls, a circle with flame inside. Others saw and asked questions. Soon, others shared similar visions, pilots, traders, miners, even prisoners. All said the same thing. We saw the flame. At first it was just drawings, then chants. Then someone lit a torch and said, "This is how they remembered their dead." By the end of the week, a crowd of 700 gathered on a remote landing platform. No, leader, no speeches, just silence. And the flame. From above it looked like a ceremony, but no one knew what they were celebrating. They were just drawn to it. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, governments began to notice. An AI monitoring system flagged a keyword, repeating across hundreds of systems. Terran flame. Leaders panicked. "This is cult behavior," one senator said. "No," said a military advisor. "This is worse. This is human." The word Terran had been banned in many sectors. After the old wars, their culture erased, their stories buried, and now it was coming back. Not through war, but faith. A faith no one understood. On a desert mining world, a group of workers unearthed a strange capsule. Old human design. Sealed. They tried to open it with tools. Failed. Then, one worker, tired and bleeding, placed her hand on it. The capsule lit up, spoke one word. Remember. Inside was a holodisk. It showed a human doctor helping wounded alien children in the middle of a battlefield. The message was simple. Even when we were hunted, we still healed. The miners, most of them alien species once at war with Earth, stood in silence. No one told them what to feel. But that night, every single one of them left food at the capsule's base. A thank you. A prayer. Back in the central galaxy, on a moon, near the Galactic Council's main station, a group of young aliens gathered in an abandoned warehouse. They wore no uniforms, no masks. But each had the same symbol carved or drawn on their arm, a burning circle. One of them, the youngest, stood on a crate and whispered, "We don't worship humans." He paused. "We remember them, because they never gave up, even when they had every reason to." Another added, "They didn't make us believe, we just do." Someone turned on an old screen. A human voice spoke from a cracked file. If one person remembers the light, it was never lost. The group fell quiet, and in that silence they believed it. Across the stars, this strange new movement had no name, no leaders, no rules. Just a symbol, and the memory of a species who fought to protect even their enemies. They called it the Flame, and they called themselves the Guarded. But not everyone was at peace. Some powers wanted to shut it down, silence the flames, destroy the ruins before more were found, because they knew what was coming. If humanity was remembered again, then history itself would change, and with it, the balance of the galaxy. The message in the DNA-ite started with a dying child, a small alien girl, weak and trembling, brought into a backroom clinic on a lawless trade station. Her eyes were pale, her breath slow. The medtech scanned her genetics, trying to find something to help. What he found wasn't disease. It was a code, buried deep inside her DNA, old, human-made, and pulsing. The scanner beeped strangely, 3 times. No one had ever seen anything like it. The tech called for help. A biologist, once a military scientist, examined the results. Her face turned pale. "This isn't a mutation," she whispered. "It's a message." The gene wasn't random. It was shaped, artificial. The code formed patterns, repeating symbols now showing up across the galaxy, the burning circle. At the center of the code was one phrase, repeated in biodata format. "For those we failed, we still protect." Soon more cases appeared. Alien children with unexplained immunity to sickness. Adults who survived deadly blasts without reason. Every time, humans had been nearby long ago. The code was in thousands, maybe millions, across species, across worlds, and everyone had one thing in common. They came from planets humans had once saved, not conquered, not controlled, saved. Scientists argued over what it meant. Did humans plant it to control us? No, this is a gift. This is dangerous. This is sacred. Governments tried to hide the findings. Too late. Someone leaked the files. All of them. Within days, the data went viral, and a new belief spread. Humans changed us, not to rule us, but to make us strong. A Warfleet commander, once proud and ruthless, stared at his own blood test. He too carried the code. His family came from a planet hit by a supernova 1,000 years ago. It was said, sky beings saved a small group. Now, he knew the truth. It was humans. One alien species, the Virex, held an emergency gathering. Their history said they evolved naturally. But now 91% of their population had the human gene pattern. It wasn't an accident. Their oldest myth spoke of beings who came from fire and vanished into stars. Now the Virex said, "We were not born, we were chosen." And just like that, an entire species knelt, but kneeling turned into something more dangerous. Marching. A group of alien warriors tattooed the code onto their arms. They didn't call themselves soldiers anymore. They called themselves carriers of flame. Their leader made a public speech. "You feared humanity when it fought, now fear it as it returns." Not all were happy. Across the galaxy, panic grew. If humanity had shaped life itself, then no one was truly alien anymore. Old enemies became brothers, rivals became family. The old order was crumbling. One ruler stood in his palace, shaking with fear. He'd spent his life mocking the weakness of humans. Now his own blood carried their touch. He ordered all flame believers arrested. But his own soldiers refused. They too carried the gene. They too believed. Back on Delta 47, the ancient ruin still pulsed quietly. Now, researchers noticed something new. The chamber wasn't just speaking, it was responding to the gene, to those who carried it. When a carrier of flame entered, the walls glowed brighter, symbols aligned, and the final message lit up for the first time. We are not gone. We wait for the light to rise again. The message spread like fire. They were not just a religion now. They were descendants. The flame that wouldn't die, he laughed. As he gave the order, High General Rax, leader of the Skeeler Dominion, stood aboard his massive war cruiser, watching a live feed of the ruined Terran shrine on the surface below. "Burn it," he said. "No more ghosts, no more lies, no more humans." The shrine, an old Terran outpost now covered in strange carvings and surrounded by followers of the flame, was about to be erased. 10 bombers screamed through the sky. They launched plasma warheads directly at the temple. The explosion could be seen from orbit. But then, something happened. The fire didn't spread. It folded inward. The light vanished. Smoke turned black, then sucked back into the shrine as if pulled by unseen hands. Rax frowned. His second-in-command stepped closer. Sir, the energy readings. Don't speak, Rax snapped. They're dead. But they weren't. When the smoke cleared, the shrine was untouched. Not a stone broken, not a mark scorched. And the bombers? Gone. No debris. No wreckage. No signal. Vanished from space. That night, a message played across every screen in Rax's fleet. It was in the human tongue, but every species understood it. We died to protect the future. Do not test the fire we left behind. Then came the symbol, a burning circle. Then silence. Rax panicked. He ordered scans, probes, anything. But all systems glitched. Screens flashed static. The only thing working was a single video feed. It showed the shrine again, and at the center stood a figure. Human. Shape. Glowing red eyes. Motionless. Watching. Word of the failed attack spread fast. Across colonies, flame followers shouted in joy. They called it a miracle. They said, the fire guard has awakened. Even skeptics grew quiet. One alien priest who had once warned against human myths now stepped forward and bowed before the shrine. I saw the flame speak, he whispered. It knows us. Suddenly, shrines once thought silent began to activate. Doors opened. Holograms played. And one by one, the same message echoed across the stars. You are not alone. You never were. Governments tried to contain the truth. But it was everywhere now. Aliens who carried the Terran gene began glowing faintly when near human ruins. Children born with no tech implants could activate dead satellites. Even the most powerful empires began to fear, not war, but faith. On the edge of the rim, a small flame ship was stopped by pirates. The pirates demanded surrender. Instead, the flame captain walked forward and placed his hand on the control panel. The ship's old AI activated. It had one sentence in its log, untouched. For 3,000 years, only those marked by Earth may command. The ship glowed and opened its weapon bays. The pirates never had a chance. Back in the Dominion, General Rax sat alone in his chamber. He hadn't slept in days. He hadn't heard from his own ships. When he tried to send messages, only static. Then, one night a box appeared on his desk. No one saw who brought it. Inside was his military badge, melted. At the bottom of the box was a small chip. He activated it. A human voice whispered, "This is not revenge. This is remembrance. You were warned." Across the stars, the flame movement was no longer just a belief. It was a force, a power buried in code, in blood, in ruins, something far greater than myth, and nothing could stop it now. Because every time someone tried to burn the flame, it only burned brighter. Pilgrimage to the unknown. No one knew where Earth was. The galaxy remembered the stories, the wars, the fire humanity once brought. But their home, gone. Lost in time, erased from maps, hidden from sensors. Some said Earth had been destroyed. Others whispered that humans had made it invisible on purpose, but now they needed to find it. Not to fight, to worship. The pilgrimage began quietly. One ship, then 5, then thousands. All species, all kinds, all carrying the human gene, the flame, deep in their DNA. They followed the old Terran signals, ghost transmissions buried in space static, ancient beacons long silent. One by one, these beacons flickered to life as the pilgrims passed. They weren't just following a trail. They were being led. On the edge of a dead system, an old Terran defense satellite woke up, its sensors locked onto the approaching fleet. No words were spoken. It scanned each ship, checking for something buried inside every being aboard. The gene, the mark. When the scan was complete, the satellite sent a signal. A door opened in space, a wormhole. One pilot trembled at the sight. "This is it," she whispered. "They're letting us in." The wormhole pulsed with blue fire. It was artificial, human-made, still functioning after 20,000 years. They entered. What they saw on the other side was not Earth. Not yet. They arrived at a place known only as the graveyard. Millions of broken ships floated in silence. Terran ships, alien ships. War wreckage from a time long gone, but none had decayed. The technology was preserved, protected by something invisible. The flame followers floated through the ruins like monks through a cathedral. They saw messages carved into the hulls of old Terran flagships. We fought so others could rise. If you carry the flame, carry it with honor. Do not seek gods, be the light. In the center of the graveyard was a monument, a sphere the size of a small moon, covered in glowing human script. No doors, no windows. Just one phrase slowly rotating. To reach the beginning, you must carry no fear. The pilgrims waited. Then a child stepped forward, one who had never spoken. One born with glowing eyes. She touched the sphere. The glow turned golden. The sphere melted. From it came a single map, and at the center of the map, Earth. The fleet screamed with joy. Entire species wept. The lost world was found. They didn't know what they would find. Was it a ruin, a paradise, a warning? They didn't care. They set course immediately. But someone was watching. Far from the graveyard, hidden in shadows, a machine mind woke. It was old, forgotten, built by humans, left behind. Its single purpose, guard Earth. Let only the worthy pass. As the pilgrims drew closer, the machine lit up its defenses and whispered, "The test begins." The test of fire. The fleet was near Earth now. It was there, glowing faintly. In the black of space, blue oceans, white clouds, green lands, silent. No signals, no ships. No defenses, at least none they could see. The followers of the flame stood at their windows, stunned. They had finally found the origin, but something felt off, too still, too perfect. Then, without warning, the stars disappeared. Darkness spread like ink around the fleet. All ships froze, engines locked, lights dimmed. Inside every ship, systems shut down. No control, no escape. Then a voice echoed in every mind, not through speakers, but inside their thoughts. It spoke in many languages at once, but every species understood. You seek Earth, but you do not carry understanding. You carry hope. You carry fear. Now, you must carry truth. Suddenly the darkness cracked. Light burst through, searing white fire. Every ship was pulled into a massive sphere of blinding light. The trial chamber, a testing ground created by old Terran AIs. One by one, ships were separated. Each group had to face a different test. The first ship was dropped on a dead planet. No air, no food, no tools. They survived by helping each other even when death was close. They were marked worthy. Another ship was placed in a battle simulation. Aliens who once hated each other were forced to fight together, shoulder to shoulder. Only those who refused to betray or abandon the weak passed. A third group had to protect a child they didn't know. That child was a simulation, part of the test. Some failed. Some shielded her until their own hearts stopped. They were marked chosen. It wasn't about strength, not power, not even belief. It was about sacrifice. Humanity had become more than a species. It had become an idea, and only those who carried that idea were allowed to pass. Hours turned to days. The followers who survived the trials were returned to their ships, changed, stronger, quieter, with fire in their eyes. Then Earth spoke. Not a voice, not a message, but the planet itself. Mountains shifted, lights danced in orbit, old Terran satellites woke, and from deep below the surface, a structure rose, a massive ring, orbiting. Earth inside it, the final gate opened a path, chosen. As the first ships moved toward it, a final warning appeared in space. What you awaken now cannot be undone. They went anyway, because this was no longer just a journey. It was a return to something sacred. The return to Earth. The followers of the flame gathered on the edge of the giant ring. It glowed softly as if welcoming them home. After long trials that tested their strength, compassion, and unity, the fleet now stood ready to cross the final threshold. Every ship moved in silent formation toward Earth's orbit. The path, once hidden behind layers of old Terran code, was now lit by a warm, pulsing light. The ancient defense systems had been passed, and for the first time in many centuries, Earth could be seen in full: blue oceans, white clouds, green lands, and vast cities that still whispered of human dreams. The lead ship glided slowly in front. From its command deck, a lone captain, whose face bore the marks of sacrifice and hope, watched the planet approach. There was no fear in his eyes, only a steady calm and a hint of quiet pride. He remembered the old voices, the legends of sacrifice, and the promise of protection handed down in the burning circle. All that remained was now to complete the journey. The ring began to shimmer. A gateway, formed by ancient Terran AI, unfolded around the fleet. It was as though Earth had itself been waiting for this moment. The gateway shone like a curtain of light, revealing a path lined with echoes of past glories and sorrows. Every ship passed through, one after the other, into the unknown. Inside the ring, the crew of the lead ship experienced a strange stillness. Time seemed to slow. They saw flickers of old history, faces of brave humans from long ago, buildings of ancient cities, and symbols of unity that burned like holy fire on every wall. They felt the pulse of Earth, a heartbeat that had survived wars and change. For a moment, all differences dissolved. They were no longer individuals from scattered worlds. They were part of one great story. Then the gateway opened fully. Earth's blue glow filled every window. The scene before them was breathtaking, as if Earth had become a living memory, inviting them to remember what had been lost and what could be regained. The vessels drifted into a quiet orbit. No alarms sounded. No enemy forces appeared. Instead, every system reported calm and harmony, a message then broadcast across every ship, carried by ancient Terran technology. You have journeyed through trial and fire. Welcome home. Remember the past. Build a future. The words resonated through the fleet. In that instant, many began to cry. Their tears were not of grief. They were of pure, unspoken relief and wonder. They had come to understand that humanity, with all its faults and triumphs, had become more than a memory. It had become a guiding light, a legacy that transformed how the galaxy saw life and honor. Down on Earth's surface, remnants of old human cities stirred under the glow of distant suns. Some buildings, still standing amid nature's reclaiming touch, bore inscriptions and symbols of the flame. The message was clear. Humans once protected the weak, fought for peace as fiercely as for war, and never truly vanished. Their spirit was woven into the fabric of the stars. As the fleet settled into orbit, the lead captain stepped forward. In a calm, resonant tone, he addressed all who listened. We did not come to conquer. We came to remember. We are the legacy of those who once burned with hope. Let our journey be a promise that no sacrifice will ever be in vain. The words echoed across the silent expanse. Even those who had once doubted the power of memory now felt its weight and warmth. They knew that the return to Earth was not just a physical journey, but a spiritual awakening, a testament to the enduring strength of belief and the unity of life, no matter its shape or origin. And as Earth's blue sphere turned slowly beneath them, the fleet began their work. They would explore, rebuild, and share the story of the flame, a story that reminded every being in the galaxy that even when forgotten, true honor remains ever bright. The chapter closed on Earth's gentle light, a symbol that the day had come when humanity's memory was not buried by time, but had risen to shine again for all to see.